Note about retail. And suddenly the wind is more windy and more noisy as soon as I turn on the camera. Why is that? Coincidence? Almost enough to make me believe the existence of a deity. Almost. It's nuts, I guess. It's autumn, right? Nuts might be falling from the trees upon me. Can't go near some trees because they will drop nuts on my car. I don't want my windscreen smashed. Anyway, what the fuck was I trying to say? How are we doing, guys? What was I talking about? A couple of things to note about retail that I don't like doing or don't like seeing. First of all, paying by card. When someone comes in, they get their goods. Actually, three things. The healthiness of the customer compared to the decay of a customer. You can sense you've got a good customer, and when they buy things our shop is not known for as a convenience store. Vegetables, like healthy things. Things that are healthy to a person. Vegetables, stuff to make and bake cakes with, like flour, eggs, milk. Maybe not necessarily milk, because milk is also tied to a tea addiction that Britons, English people for some reason have. A cultural thing, but also a thing tied to like India and China that we picked up during the days of empire, I believe, or even the 1700s, which is tea, because where the like tea leaves and coffee beans, they don't come from England, do they? And yet that is everywhere. It's like, I don't know, it's like our culture but our false culture, or our culture but only tied to the empire. I also see it as like a weird addiction, like people are too obsessed with tea, and that's tied to buying milk, and we have an enormous section full of milk, and you fill it up with huge tanks of 2-litre milk at the start of each day, and by the end of the day it's basically all gone, and it's like, Jesus Christ, how are people drinking so much milk? And I think the answer is tea. Anyway, so rule that out unless it's for baking, so. But you know, there are healthy things for people to buy, and there are unhealthy things for people to buy. The unhealthy things that people buy are the stuff our shop is known for. We have a tobacco stand, we have a magazine stand, we have a newspaper stand, we have a lottery stand. I don't know why I'm calling them all stands. We have sections where there's a ton of each thing. Sweets, coffee machine. These things. I'm fine with people buying bread. I'd say bread is a healthy one. Milk, so-so. Vegetables, good. So you see the healthiness or the unhealthiness of someone when they come up. Second thing, paying by card. Someone comes in, they put their items out on the till, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you want to pay? That's cool. They're like, yeah, pay by card, just pull it out. They think it's like the default setting because they've been conditioned by TV, by media, by government, by the far left to bow down to the slavery of not only elections and voting, but also the control of their money by other people, the socialist theft culture. Socialists don't think theft is a bad thing. They don't think theft is a concept. They just think like to steal is normal, and everything in their life should be stealing, and everything should be shared. Think all sorts of concepts like this. And paying by card is a very easy way for the government to control your bank account and what you spend. Paying by contactless the most, and Apple Pay, Google Wallet, whatever you call those things, the digital payments that aren't cryptocurrency, because we don't take cryptocurrency in the shop like Bitcoin or whatever, but they'll take contactless payment and Apple Pay and Google Wallet and shit like this. And I remember back in Capers in my family store, there was a time where we only took cash. I think we might have taken card and PIN number form, and we took checks for quite a time, but then card rose up, and then contactless came in, and Dad said, like, we're gonna get contactless for the shop. And I was like, you don't need to get contactless while you're doing this. And he says, no, sales will rise up. And he was right, like sales rose up as soon as we got contactless. But it was annoying how sales rose up. It's like suddenly we like say you can pay by contactless at our store, and like tons of people were paying by contactless. And you'd think, all right, well, it's not selling a product. it's the payment method, but you'd think it's like supply and demand, like they have demand for contactless. But it's astroturf demand, it's manufactured demand by the government and by the people who reach out to the public and brainwash them through their TV sets. And paying by contactless will, I think the card company takes a cut of money, so the shop who's selling their goods is actually losing money from paying card and contactless versus paying cash. And it's just massively controllable. Also, there are criminals with little street scanners that can go past you and boop, and do a contactless swipe on your card as they walk past you in the street and get your money. But that's not as prevalent as the thievery from the government themselves. They can look at what you spend, they can control you, they can stop you accessing your money. Because if contactless becomes prevalent, one thing that happens is, and it has been happening, is your local high street branch of the bank shuts down, where you get all your physical change and notes from, like your fiat currency stuff. And so you no longer have like a NatWest, that's a huge bank branch in the UK. You no longer have a NatWest in town, and your nearest NatWest is like 4 towns away up in the north. And it's like, what the fuck? I always used to go in the bank to sort out my accounts and arrange stuff. Now I'm just lost without the actual physical bank. There's no humans to talk to. You have to refer to a fucking website to do anything, or you have to go like 4 branches away to somewhere to do something. Like, I'm still signed up on all my account papers and stuff to the branch that doesn't exist in my town, like my nearest 2 towns away hometown sort of place. And it's not there anymore, but I'm still signed up to it. And I used to go in there all the time just to like, can I open an account? Can I close an account? Can you give me information on this? Can I get my change? Can I withdraw cash? Can I send this check somewhere? Can I open a standing order or was it direct debit monthly payment thingy? And it was so good, it was so fucking useful. And I can't do any of that now. And like banking, using money and using banking is not normal anymore. And it's because the far left know that and the government and the statists, not the statists, but the state, they know that it's easier to control people via contactless. And the sooner they can force everyone onto digital kind of payment methods, the sooner they can jump onto the next step along, which is like CBDCs and things, central bank digital currencies, where it's just pure social credit. And once they get rid of physical cash, also, by the way, your cash machines and your ATMs in the high street have disappeared. There's only 2 in the town where I work, and we're one of them, and the other one's just one in the town centre. There used to be like tons of them where people could get their physical cash. Now they're trying to put a stop to that. They're trying to stop people getting their cash. But yeah, once the government forces you all onto contactless and you're never using digital cash, and every high street business only takes contactless card and not cash, then they can easily just force them onto the next thing along digitally, which is stuff like central bank digital currencies, which is a form of social credit, like in China, where the government will ration your own money to you. Basically, the government will own you, and it will own your money fully, and you will not own any money. You will not own anything, and you will be happy. The socialists will have your property. Everything you apparently earn from working, you aren't earning from working, and you won't be allowed access to your own money. It will be rationed out, and it will also be based on social credit. Like, if you do things that please the government, then you have a high social credit score. Basically, the more controlled and enslaved you are, you can report yourself as a goody two-shoes that does things for the government, and you'll have a slightly higher ration of money, and they won't fuck with you as much. And then the good, decent, sane people who don't comply with government and don't do what they say and want to be free and don't want to be controlled, who insult the government or make jokes about the government, which is hate speech, they will get a low social credit score, and they won't get access to their own money that they own and that they worked for. And the government will ration it out so they have tiny amounts, or they will just completely deny access altogether to your own accounts and your own money. So You'll be homeless on the street, and it'll be because you disagree with government. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to starve and kill off people who don't want to be under their control, who want to be free, because it's not useful to the government to maintain their rich elite lifestyles and live on top and get all your money and control everyone else and use them as little scientific experiments. It's not useful for them to be able to do that if you've got dissenters, people who disagree with them, people who don't do what they say, people who aren't under control, like me, an anarchist, and like, hopefully, many other people who want to be libertarians and anarchists. And yeah, so cash is your friend. Physical cash is your friend. Anyway, that's two subjects. The third subject about retail, which I need to re-research. I need to go back into 1984, basically. The book is the lottery. Lottery to me is a rigged construct. Obviously, there's always been problems with gambling, and gambling's a whole concept that is terrible, and you lose in the end whenever you gamble. But yeah, for me, lottery's worse than that because it is a government tool to fool people into thinking that they're getting money for free from somewhere if they engage in this thing, whereas actually they're not. They're just like gambling, and they're also complying to government. There's some nice lines in the book 1984 by George Orwell where the version of the lottery that is in Ingsoc is defined, and they tell you about the version they have in that book, which is also based on real life socialism that Orwell observed, where, you know, the lottery is this thing that is rigged to, like, designed so that the populace who engage with it don't actually get anything out of it. They just think they're getting anything out of it. They're fooled into some kind of sense of freedom and happiness. And that's another insidious thing socialists do and governments do, is they try and fool people into thinking they have their freedom. They try and fool people into thinking they're happy, fool people into leisure and that they're getting free stuff out of nowhere, and that they don't have to work for their money, and that things grow on trees, like money grows on trees, and anything they could possibly want comes from nowhere so long as you bow down to government. And it's not true. It's all fake. It's all a lie. It's all a facade. It's all a method of control that, sadly, so many normies, so many everyday people who don't get into politics just don't understand, and they buy into it, and they sleepwalk into it. That, like a child, they think this is how the world is, and they've been brought up thinking this is how the world is, so that child has become an adult, but with the child's mind, who thinks that they're not being controlled by the government and they're not being enslaved and stolen from. Yeah, so 3 things about retail that relate to authoritarianism. Thank you for watching.